See? Was that hard? Was that difficult, what I just did? Was that a moment of struggle? Was that a moment that you would suspect would end your life? No. No, it wasn't. You ride your bike every goddamn day, you know, you have your routine set up, you go to work, you don't remember that you're surrounded by death traps once you've done it, like, you know, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. I biked over that bridge 50 times. There wasn't even anybody there that day. Nobody, like, walked into my path. There were no cars. I just fucking fell over because I couldn't pay attention to what I was doing. And that injury is irrevocable, right? That injury is never going to go away. My wrist will never be quite the same. I will never be quite as symmetrical as I was before. Routine is the killer, right? And this dovetails nicely with what we were talking about before. The homogenization of your days via routine. Once you've taken care of that hierarchy of needs and you have entered a place where you're no longer scrabbling, you're no longer hustling, the routine becomes flattening, right? There's no longer a way to mark one day apart from another, 1 month apart from another. This is why societies where backbreaking, essentially identical labor all the time was necessary, develop harvest festivals and things like that, because it's important to be able to mark on the calendar the passage of time, or else your life passes in a blink, sort of in an auto-hypnotic rural stupor, you know, which has been lauded and praised by people who don't fucking know any better. I can't believe I did that just now. I'm just getting worked up about the featureless paste which routine makes of our days. And it was that featureless paste of routine that I was in when my life was cut suddenly and tragically short. But it's a video game, right? Video game's not like real life. I can go back, I can try again. Which makes it more like other, more pedestrian kinds of failures that creep up on you via the medium of becoming, how shall I say, it's the unwariness that comes with routine, right? You make mistakes, little mistakes, which compound upon each other to create a big mistake through a routine which is bad, but bad in a subtle way. Go fuck yourself. There we go. So yeah, you wake up one day, all the love is gone out of your relationship, or, you know, all the calcium has gone out of your bones, or like all of the caramel has made its way into your bloodstream and your pancreas is shutting down. There's a lot of variations on this thing. Or in this case, the tentacle monster that you'd forgotten about carries you under the water and slays you, and makes a, you know, a metaphorically apt, but, you know, something that, but like, you know, a definitely, what's the word I'm looking for? Derailing feature vis-a-vis your life, your plans, and your artistic goals. Now, we can say that that's a happy accident, that, you know, it completed the thematic arc of that particular episode of Despair Mode, sure, you know, but it all reeks a little bit of clammy self-justification after the fact. Like, that certainly wasn't how I planned things to go there. And so, despite the fact that I, you know, assure myself that, well, it was worth it. It was worth it. Everything is worth it because a lesson was learned. Part of me says, well, a lesson may have been learned, but the damage was irreversible. That's a webcomic reference for everybody. Did you enjoy that? I think you probably enjoyed that if I know you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Kraid. Kraid. Oh, Kraid. Kraid. This game's a lot harder when you're trying to say words. Yeah. Funny little thing, Kraid. Anywho, what I'm trying to make is that having been thoroughly derailed by the advent of this particular trauma, I did the thing that I generally do in life, which is that I went back to the same situation, in this case by playing through the game again to the point where the bad thing happened. And then I tried again. That's how I ended up living in the city, to erase an earlier mistake. That's how I've ended up in many a relationship in an attempt to erase an earlier mistake. But the great thing about mistakes is that they're fractal and limitless. And it is an illusion to imagine that the opportunity that you lost before can be regained, and that it can be just the way that it was. Like, you know, there's many things in there's many things in pop culture which will back me up here. You know, and if Nick were here, he would extricate me for going to the pop culture well to illustrate my point, but I'm going to do so anyway because I think, you know, who among us doesn't remember the scene from Annie Hall with the fucking lobsters? Anybody? All right, then Momus. That's a touchstone that more of you can probably recognize, and more frankly savory than Woody Allen. Momus just sings about molesting children. Woody Allen was a... Anywho, Momus sings in his song Homemade Soup. Put it in the microwave and press reheat. Pour it in the bowl, you can repeat. The same sensations on your tongue, the same impressions on your brain. It almost tastes the same. 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 So you're going to find in your attempts to undo past indignities that all you're really doing is opening yourself up to new injury. What form that new injury will take, we have yet to see here, but I'm sure that if we work together, we will find something truly hideous to engage ourselves with. I think there's a thing down here. Do you guys remember if there's a thing down here? Do you think there's a thing down here? Do I not have the right armor yet to get that thing? Probably, right? Yeah. Oh, hey, no, never mind. So much for my involuntary muscle memory idea. It still bring new information into the mix occasionally. That's betraying my own theses. That's my story. But anywho, where were we? Ah, yes, we have attempted to recapture the magic that could only have occurred by sheer happenstance in the first episode of this. There was a lot of, you know, dead silences in there. There was a lot of hemming and hawing. There was a lot of pausing, much like the pause that I just committed. And there are ways to get around that sort of thing, you realize. There are, you know, you could write something down beforehand. You could work from an outline. You could make this an entertainment as opposed to sort of a therapy session, a confessional, a tallying up of one's sins. But that's outside the thesis of the work that we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring the Let's Play into the sort of neurotic art space that, say, Woody Allen would occupy, except without the craft, which I've always felt is an unnecessary element in almost any endeavor, merely filtering, as it does, the purity of the failure on display. Failure is honest. Failure is relatable. And the failure of an artist is, you know, I think that you can take an artist and put him in front of a crowd and have him fail miserably, but sincerely, and a bond will be formed. It will be a memorable experience that, you know, any number of more, you know, seasoned, chopsy, non-embarrassing acts would have a hard time reconstructing. That's why I don't like music and musical styles that require people to be good at their instruments. Like, you know, I'm not a big fan of jazz or bluegrass or really any folk style, which has the one thing that people learn how to do and spend years perfecting. That is so not my jam, because it feels not only, you know, uncreative, but completely alien to my experience. You know, I couldn't spend years of my life learning to play a sick mandolin solo. I mean, I don't have the patience, the attention span, the dedication, the functioning mental health. Well, I mean, of course, you can get that way through bad obsessions, but I'm unfortunate in that I'm not cursed with productive neuroses, merely with distracting ones. So, like, I'm generally not into those because I don't see I don't see a connection to be made there between the performer and myself. This is why I like indie rock and experimental music, because the whole point of indie rock is that you don't have to be very good. And even if you are very good, if you hone it to that degree, you're not doing it right. So there are displays of skill which you have to know something about the thing to even recognize, or displays of skill, which is my favorite thing to do. It's not, you know, it's not showy. You're not showing off when you're doing that. You're merely yes. Oh, this is it. This is death number 2. Oh god, one more chance. One last chance. Fucking creeps.